Hi everyone! So this is Jasmine from Cats Me Wow Designs. Today I just have a couple updates to share with you just momentarily before we jump into the video. First, I wanted to say that I relaunched my website and it is now at catsmewowdesigns.com. I am going to be posting new blogs every Tuesday, and so hopefully I'll be able to also post some new video blogs as well that go along with those posts. So that kind of finishes with the announcements. So today I wanted to talk about cosplaying, and I wanted to share with you some of the design process and what went into making my husband's Master Roshi costume from Dragon Ball Z that he wore this year to the Fan Expo. And so this was kind of he wasn't sure what he wanted to wear for the majority part of the deciding process, and then with a month left he finally decided upon Master Roshi, and so, which was fine by me. I had entered the cosplay contest this year, and so I needed to finish making my costume in addition to making his. So he fortunately already had the shorts and the flip-flops, and so the rest I either made or we bought. So trying to find things, we were trying to do this as economically as possible, and so I decided to just go ahead and make the shirt part. So because if I wanted to buy a button-up shirt, it was going to be $30 on top of what I would need to decorate it and make it all Master Roshi style, if I was even at all fortunate to find the right color that I needed, since it is rather a bright orange. I'm going to be posting some pictures up here on either side of the design process so you get kind of an idea visually also as well, but there are pictures throughout the blog post, so I will be sure to link that down in the description in case you want to go through and read it, or you need to refer back to it later and don't want to try to look through the video. So for the shirt, I will admit I have never made a men's button-up shirt before, and so I was especially concerned about it, and especially because I didn't have a lot of time to come back later and try to figure it out if something went horribly wrong. So I found this basic pattern from Etsy. The pattern is linked in the description box below, and it had, I can't remember exactly how many, but anyways, it had a variety of sizes, which was good. I took and made a sample the first time, and the sizing was like way off because I misread the directions. So be sure that the finished garment size has, you know, an allowance for closure, because I am an idiot and I didn't take that into account, I guess. So anyway, so I had to remake it. But the fabric that I bought was 100% cotton fabric. I actually bought it from Walmart because it was $3.44, or yeah, $3.44 per yard. And they had a nice variety of solids I could choose from, and usually I kind of shy away a little bit from Walmart fabrics. However, this fabric seemed to be really stable and actually thicker than some of the more expensive ones at Joann's, especially for the cotton broadcloth type thing. So I thought the quality was great, and so after, you know, printing out all of the pattern pieces, taping them together, cutting the pieces out twice, I finally was able to get something somewhat put together here. And honestly, the instructions in the pattern, I really appreciated that pattern because the instructions were so thorough, and the pictures were good. There was a couple things that was a little confusing, but that's okay. I got through it, obviously. And so for this particular costume, because the fit of the shirt is supposed to be so big, I ended up taking and making it the biggest size that was in the pattern, just to have that kind of loose fit. And the day that my husband decided to wear this cosplay, he was also doing the Super Smash tournament, so I wanted it to be super comfortable and not like restricting at all. So after I got the orange part of the shirt done, I took and cut out with HTV vinyl on my Cricut a whole bunch of letters like this out of black HTV, and I bought purple HTV that I had it cut triangles out. And the best part about that is that I was able to use the triangles that the Cricut actually cut out and then the negative space triangles that went in between, and it ended up working out perfectly. I was really surprised. So I was so glad. I ended up having to cut, I think, two sets of these letters out because I ran out because the shirt was just so big. But because I was able to use both sets of triangles, I didn't actually have to recut out triangles, which was fantastic. So to finish that off, I took and bought 5/8 of an inch white buttons from Hobby Lobby. They were in this massive pack. I used almost every single one of them. I think I have like 1 or 2 left, but I could have put them on, but I just didn't feel like it. My sewing machine, fortunately, has a buttonhole. Well, it has 3 different options for that, and so I was able to slide the button into the bracket, and it was able to do all of that for me, which made it so much easier. Okay, so much easier. So definitely, you know, if your machine has it, use it, because it is a lifesaver, truly. So the second part of the costume was, of course, the shell. And this was the part that I was the most concerned about, because I have very limited experience making things out of EVA foam. The only thing I've actually made out of EVA foam was my Ahsoka cosplay that I did last year, and that, while I was making it, was an absolute train wreck. Also, well, I mean, it looks good now, but like as I was making it, I felt like it was a train wreck. But the stuff that I used for his turtle shell was a lot thicker. And it was on a much larger scale. It wasn't like, you know, smaller pieces. So it was very intimidating to me. And I searched the internet trying to find a turtle shell pattern for EVA foam, and they're hard to come by. So I'll go ahead and link in the description box below also the pattern that I found on Etsy that was actually part of a Mario cosplay. I didn't know what size it was when I purchased it. It said child to medium adult. I don't know really what is considered medium adult, because to me it's this, like, when it's done, it's the size of a child to maybe like young teenager. It definitely was not big enough for my 6'2" husband. So we did make some adjustments, but fortunately I contacted the lady that was selling the pattern on Etsy, and she told me rather how I could make the size bigger. So her customer service is great. Her patterns are really great quality. So if you like need an idea or want to do like some sort of costume for, you know, a kid or, you know, younger person, or if you want to scale it up, definitely check out her pattern on Etsy. We added 4 inches all the way around, so we added on the outside edge, but also like the center where the 2 pieces come together. We added 4 inches everywhere and extended those the dart things. So I'm not going to lie, though, I really did start to panic when I saw how small it was going to be after I taped everything together. So for foam is so expensive. Of course, the Fan Expo was in March, and so it's not Halloween time. Joann's no longer sells cosplay foam. Hobby Lobby did not have it on sale. I had been watching it for weeks because I knew no matter what my husband picked, it was going to involve foam. Much to my dismay, but that's okay. And it was never on sale. And so I'm like, oh no, what are we going to do? Because we we don't have a lot of money, for all of this. And so what I ended up getting, which I saw actually here on YouTube, was Harbor Freight has those anti-fatigue foam floor mats, and you can get a set of 4. I believe they're 24 or 26-inch square things. That it comes 4 to a pack for $10. And so that's actually what I used in order to create the turtle shell. I used the entire thing, and we ended up buying a second pack because I messed up. So it might have taken like a little bit of an extra square, but either way, it wasn't a big deal. It's about like 1 inch thick or so of foam, so it's super nice and super sturdy. And yeah, I really liked it. I used the Weldwood contact cement to glue everything together. So of course with those mats, it has the little comb on the sides, and so I took and I cut them off of 2 pieces and glued those together to create one long piece, and then took the new pattern after we had extended it, used a Sharpie marker and traced it around, and then cut it out. My big takeaway, if you are new to foam and have no idea what you're doing like me, last time when I was using foam, I was using an X-Acto knife, which worked fine, but it was very hard to use, and that was with thinner foam. This time, foam dulls blades like nobody's business. It is truly ridiculous how fast it can dull a blade. So this time I decided that I was going to try to get one of those knives from Harbor Freight where you can break the tip off and you have another sharp blade to work with. That worked so well. It literally cut like butter even through this really super thick foam, and I was really proud of it. My dad tried to use a regular blade. Utility knife. He tried to use a regular utility knife, and it ended up making the edges really shaggy because it wasn't a brand new blade. But like I said, with the breakable tip ones, whenever you feel like it's getting a little shaggy, you can easily just break the tip off. You got a brand new one. But also because you can extend that out far enough, or as far as you have the tips, you can extend that as far as you need, and it be able to adjust it to the different width or the different thicknesses of foam. So that was really cool. So for the trim around the bottom, I went to Michael's. I bought a foam dowel rod in white, and I ended up cutting it in half because I only needed half of it, but it was cheaper for me to do that than buy each of the half, because for some reason the half dowel rod for the foam was $6, but the whole dowel rod was also $6. So it really only made sense that I would buy the whole one and then cut it in half. But that ended up giving it a really nice, clean and crisp edge around it. And I really, really liked it. It was super fun to do, and just everything about this process with the shell was new territory, but I loved every second of it. So for the actual parts of how we figured out how to do the top of the shell, where the textured part is, the pattern that is linked below does have guidelines for that, but since we had extended it so far, I was worried that it wasn't going to be able to work, or I couldn't figure out how much I needed to add to each individual piece to make it work. And so I wrapped the top of it in painter's tape that was, I want to say it was 2.5 to 2 3/4 inch wide, blue painter's tape. And I did it across, or horizontal and vertical, to give it a nice stable thing so that when I took it off it would be easier. My husband's the artist. I'm not the artist. I can't draw a decent stick figure, so I had him get a Sharpie marker and draw like where the lines were for what he wanted. Then that way he too was involved in the whole making process. And so once he had that done, I took my knife carefully and cut out each of the individual pieces, and then stuck them down because it was taped. They stuck down easily to the foam and cut around them. Because the bottom of the pattern that I used is very curved, there were parts of it that were curved, so I just took my scissors and cut a single line in it to create a dart, and then glued those together before gluing it onto the shell. Now this is a lesson of warning to you because I did not know what to use as a sealer. It was, I was doing this in February, end of February, early March. If it was not raining, it was snowing. And so the Plasti Dip spray that I usually use, I couldn't take it outside to spray. And so I had no idea what to do. But I figured that the texture would probably add to it. So I got a can of, I believe it's the Flex Seal stuff. It was in black. It was a rubber coating. It was for patching roofs. I wanted it to be durable. That stuff ended up being a mess. Would not recommend using that at all. It took 3 days to cure. And I did not really have that kind of time, especially because I had to do it in 2 different batches. So like I did the whole top, and then I did like the bottom rim because I couldn't, I had to set it down on the table when I was doing the top. And yeah, anyways, I wouldn't really recommend that, but it did cover it pretty good. I just put it in one of those bottles that you can like squeeze. And then I took my paintbrush and like moved it around. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw my post of how it was so satisfying, like just like squirting it on and then just, squirting it on and then just painting it. So that was kind of fun, but what wasn't fun was waiting the 6 days between the 2 parts to get it done. Yeah, that wasn't fun. But after that was finally done, then I could move on to painting. And I can paint a little bit, but I'm not really that great at it. So fortunately though, at Hobby Lobby, I was able to find the flexible FX paint in the very same purple color that was on the shirt. It was on clearance for 86 cents a bottle. Normally it's like $5 a bottle, so I was like super excited about that. So I grabbed a bottle of that, and then I had some leftover ones from when I did my Ahsoka cosplay. So I had black and white, and I didn't want it to be just like a flat boring color. I wanted it to have dimension and different shades of purple without getting too crazy. So I started by mixing some of the purple paint with the black to get it to be darker, and I did that in between the grooves of each of the plates, and then also around the edges of the shell details. And once I let that dry, then I went in with just a straight purple paint and applied that like on more on the inner side, so I guess the middle section of the plates. And then I took and I mixed it with, first of all, just a little bit of white, so it was just a tad lighter, and then I put that in the very center, trying to blend it out as best as I could in between so that it wasn't like harsh lines, and trying to make it more of like a textured look. When those 3 were dry, then I bought some natural sponges from Walmart, and I dipped them in black, the purple. I remade a lighter purple with a little bit more white, and then a darker purple, and I just kind of like dabbed those alternatingly all over it just to give it a nice texture, smooth out the lines a little bit, because like I said, I can paint, but I'm not that great at it. So just to give it a little bit of, some pizzazz. And so the last part of this costume is, of course, how are we going to get this, like, to stay on him? This was a part I feel like that really took the longest. As I was putting the other parts together, I was trying to figure out how in the world we are going to get this to stay. So in the original Master Roshi thing, it looks like he has rope, which would have worked, except me and my husband are clumsy and we drop things all the time. And so if he needed to pick something off the floor, I was worried that whatever adhesive that we would use, it would like come off and it would break. And I really did not want his costume to break mid-convention. That happened to me last year. Parts of my costume were coming apart. Last year was the very first convention we went to, and that was the first ever cosplay I made was last year. So it was definitely a learning experience, and I did not want that to happen to him. And so I was like, how can we attach this? So I thought about elastic, but then I'm like, I don't know. I want something, like a little more professional looking than that or something. And I wanted it to be comfortable for him. So we actually upcycled. My dad had these old suspenders. Well, they're dress suspenders. So they're not like, he bought new ones. And so he wasn't using these anymore. And he's like, well, if you want to use these, you can. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. They were adjustable, which was super helpful. And that was also something that was really important to me because I wanted him to be able to adjust it depending on what was comfortable. And I was hoping for a backpack type style so that when he was actually in the Super Smash tournament, then he would be able to easily take it off like a backpack and put it on, and so that way he could enjoy the panels and the competition and all of that with more ease, and it would be less frustrating for him and everyone else. So we took the suspenders, the part that would be in the front, and we hot glued them on either side of the top part of the shell. And then for the bottom part, it has like where the two front parts comes together. It's kind of like in a V, and there was a leather piece that was there, and we actually just hot glued that to the bottom in the back. And so it ended up turning out just like a backpack, and it was super convenient. And yeah, it was great. He loved it. It was comfortable all day. It was still functional to adjust the straps so that it was perfect for him. And yeah, so he had a really great day. The other accessories that we had, such as the staff and the beard and mustache and eyebrows, we just bought those from Amazon. And the beard, eyebrows, mustache, and it also came with the sunglasses. So those were just, real quick buys off of Amazon. They were very decently priced, and the shipping was pretty fast. The staff came sooner than expected because the staff randomly came from apparently a store that is like 15 minutes from my house, and I had no idea. But anyways, it was on Amazon, so it was great. But yeah, so I hope that this gives you an idea on how to make a Master Roshi costume. If you are looking for that for you, your husband, your significant other, your kids, whatever, definitely check out the links that are in the description box below. And if you are interested in seeing more of these cosplay how-to or cosplay breakdown videos, then please be sure to let me know down in the comments. I have a special one coming on Star Wars Day. It's what I wore to the Comic-Con for the competition, and I am really proud of it. And so, yeah. But if there is anything else, any sort of videos, it doesn't have to be sewing or cosplay related, but any sort of videos that you would be interested in seeing, then please also go ahead and leave a comment down below, and I will get to that as soon as possible. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye!